Perfect. Okay, so the recording started. So yeah, thank you so much to all of you for attending. There's quite a few of you here, which is good to see. So yeah, this is our Murchison Rep Forum. So if you study in the School of Arts and Creative Industries, the School of Computing, School of Engineering, this is the right place. So what I'll do is, well, can you just pass on to the next slide, Alistair? Thank you. So yeah, I'll just give you a little welcome, just a few pointers, nothing too crazy, but just make sure that, remember to let others speak when they're speaking, don't interrupt them, be polite, respect one another. Then as well, if you can, turn your camera on. You absolutely don't have to if you don't want to. I just think it's always nice to see other people. It gives it a more sort of human feeling, as if we were in an actual in-person meeting. And if you can mute yourself when you're not speaking so that there's no background noise as well, that would be nice. So yeah, that's just a little etiquette list. And then, so yeah, what we're going to talk about today is, firstly, I'll just give a little introduction, and then I'll let you know about what's been going on at ENSA in the past few months, sort of the things that we've been getting up to. And then I will pass it on to you. Because the point of this meeting is for you to let me know if you've had any issues or any comments that you want to talk about of things that have been happening on your course. So you'll be able to tell me about your academic issues and then about your facilities and technical issues. And after that, I will just give you an update about what's coming up at ENSA, so different events and things that are going to be happening quite soon. So yeah, I'll just, as a little introduction, most of you probably already know this, but just to let you know that the three ENSA officers that are here to represent you is Ankit, Nikhil, and myself. So I'm the Vice President for Reps and Volunteers, and that means that I'm in charge of making sure that the rep system runs smoothly. I'm the point of contact between you and ENSA and the university. So I'm sort of here to support you in your rep role. I also encourage students to volunteer and just focus on things that are more focused around the curriculum. So anything to do with, what you do in class and all that. So I'm on different committees as well to give my views on how that happens. And then there is Nikhil. So he's the Vice President for Sports and Society. So the name speaks for itself. He's in charge of making sure that the sports clubs and the societies at ENSA run smoothly as well. And he's the point of contact between them, ENSA, and the university. And then we also have Ankit. So Ankit's actually here so he can introduce himself.
Hi guys, my name is Ankit Dugal and I'm the elected president this year. So if you have any issues with the well-being or community issues, I am here to help. Let me know.
Great, thank you. So yeah, that's us, and we are here to support you. So now I'm just going to move on to just tell you about what's been happening at ENSA in these past couple of months. So the first thing that you're probably aware of, because you're a rep, so we have a new rep system, not too different to the one we had before, but the only change is that now, instead of running in-person elections, we run them online. So the election process and the registration process was all digital this year. Then we also had the rep training. The rep training last year was already online, actually. It was very similar to the module that we have now. But what we did is that we improved it a bit, tried to make it a bit more interactive, added some things just to make sure that it was as best as it could be. And we have about 400 program reps this year. So that is quite a good number, and we're very pleased with that. And then apart from the program reps, another group of students that are here to represent the students and raise the student voice is the ENSA 50. So the ENSA 50, the idea of this is that it's a group of 50 students who are keen to tackle, the big issues that are facing students, but not on a course level like the program reps, but on a university-wide level. So things that are affecting all students within the university. So at the moment, within this ENSA 50, we have 3 different working groups, and each group is led by one of your sabbatical officers. So I'm leading the Promoting Positive Choices group. Ankit is leading Supporting Student Communities, and Nikhil is running the Surviving Financially as a Student group. And within those groups, we just work to tackle specific issues that we think are important. So, for example, in my group, we are working on the Never Okay campaign around sexual harassment and consent. And that's something that we're trying to push within the university during this academic year. And I'm just telling you this as well because you can still join a group if you'd like to, or if you want to have more information about how the ENSA 50 works, just send me an email. My email's just there on the slide, and I can give you more information. And if you'd like to join a group, you're absolutely welcome because there's still some space. And something else that's actually happening this week is the results of the Excellence Awards. So this should have happened a bit earlier in the year, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, it got delayed. But the winners are getting announced this week. So the Excellence Awards are awards, and so the way it works is that students nominate other students and staff as well when they think, that they've been the best lecturer or the most inspirational student or the best program rep. And after that, we pick the winners and we announce them and we give them a little trophy as well. So if you want to find out who won this year, you can check it out on our social media on the ENSA pages, and it's all coming up during this week. So there's different little winners' speeches from the winners. So it's quite, I like it. I think it's quite a wholesome thing to do. And the nominations for the 2021 awards will actually open quite soon, I think around February or something like that. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that. And then again, as a small update, wanted to let you know about the different events and campaigns that we've launched in the past couple of weeks as well. So we've had a couple of sustainability campaigns. We had one in September and one in October. One was Scottish Climate Week, the other one was Global Climate Change Week. And for this, we had a series of events. We worked a lot with the Edinburgh Napier Sustainable Society, with the sustainability team, just to get some events going and just to try and promote sustainable practices to students, make it more engaging. And for example, the photo that we have here is a little e-booklet that we created about how to be sustainable at home as a student, because obviously now you're spending more time at home, and that also comes with lots of sustainability implications as well. So you can find that on our website as well if you're interested. And I've shared it on the Rep Facebook group. Another thing that we are quite keen to take forward is more mental health support for students as well. So an event that we had, for example, is we partnered with Nightline, who is a mental health charity in Edinburgh, and we created an online workshop for international students to talk about experiences of homesickness and what it's like, to live as a student away from home and during the pandemic as well. That was very nice. And the campaign that we run during the whole of October was Black History Month. And we ran different webinars in conjunction with other student associations, and then also different events with our Napier BAME Society. And we also had a book club where we encourage students to read a particular book and then discuss it together. And so, yeah, just to give you a bit of an overview of what we do at ENSA and what's been happening lately. And now I will leave it over to you. So what I'd like to know about first is about any issues that you've had that are linked to anything to do with exams, with the curriculum, with your lecturers, so anything academic. I'd love to hear if you've had any issues, or if you have any comments about things that went well, things that didn't go so well, things that the students brought up to you. So yeah, you can, if you want to say something, just you can unmute yourself and let me know, or you can pop it in the chat as well. But just remember to state your course and the year of your studies before discussing it so that we can write it down.
Do you want me to go first or last? Because I have 8 different issues.
You can go first. Go for it.
Okay, right. So, and I'm the class rep for Civil and Transportation Engineering and one of the reps for the SEBI school. So the first one I've got was from one of my students, and it was different lecturers communicating with each other when it comes to tests and assignments, because what we've tended to start noticing is happening, because our lecturers aren't communicating with each other, there's times where we might be getting 2 tests that are due the same week, or we might have like one test due at the end of the week and then we've got another assignment due on like the beginning of the next week, which means you've got the weekend to do this assignment, when in fact at the weekend, there should be some studying going on, but most of the weekend should be relaxing, going out to the shops to pick up stuff up. So I think that's definitely something that needs to be addressed. And I noticed that through high school, and we managed to fix it in high school, the lecturers need to basically communicate better with each other when it comes to issuing tests and assignments.
Okay, yeah, lack of communication.
Yeah. The other thing is an actual working one-way system in the campus would be really handy, because like I imagine the one-way system does work, and it will take, if you follow it around, it will take you to an exit. The problem is that's not signposted. So you can, if you start following a route round thinking, right, this is going to eventually take me to an exit, you could then end up opposite side of the building, nowhere near an exit. So, because like one of my classes is in A55, and how we get out is we basically go up the stairs, we cut through the ENSA offices, and at that point the one-way system stops working, and then we go against the flow to get down and out at the main bit. But we haven't actually yet found a way out following the one-way system.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so that might be an issue in just certain parts of the building.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely there is some bits of the building that it works well and it flows correctly, but there's other bits that there could be an exit, but you have no idea if there's an exit down that way because it's not signposted. If there were signs saying exit this way, and you could then know, right, follow this one-way system around, and it would eventually work. Going to do the disabled toilets. This is actually something
I was going to say, is it okay just because these are the academic issues, and then we're moving on to the facilities one?
Got you.
Okay?
Yeah. So hold on, let me just check if there's any more. Remember how we spoke about the SAS funding thing?
Yeah.
Would that fall under facilities or academic?
I would say academic.
Okay, right. The SAS issues are still not fixed. The attendance, the lecturers now seem to be taking attendance properly. Like in my 3 modules that I've got, they are taking attendance properly.
Yeah.
But there's some sort of breakdown in communication between Napier and SAS, that SAS were then saying to some of my students, you've not been going to class, you're not getting your funding. Some of my students had called various offices in Napier. That's another point I've got that I will come to in faculties. And they said, right, we'll get that fixed. And they'd spoken to SAS and it should be fixed within 48 hours. It didn't happen. One of my students still has not received their funding for November, and it's now 9, 10, 11 days late from what it should have arrived at.
Okay.
I think, that's all the academic stuff.
Okay, great. Thank you. I was thinking if that's, like obviously that is an issue between the lecturers and SAS, but I'm also thinking if it's that particular student who at the moment is struggling.
Yeah. I've got quite a few students who had this issue. It was just this specific one has answered my text when I said, are you still having funding issues? But I suspect some of them are still doing it, and it's not a lecture thing, it's the uni. It's like the uni that are messing up, because I've spoken to all 3 of my lecturers and they are saying, we're marking you in. So there's some sort of error between Napier getting the information from the lecturers, and they're not passing it on to SAS properly. but it's not in every case. Otherwise, we would all receive letters. It seems to only be in some cases that breakdown in communication's happening.
Okay, thanks. No, that's something that we can look into to see where the problem.
Danny, can I just quickly get your year of study, please?
Yeah, my year of study is first year.
Excellent, thank you.
No worries.
Okay, so my name is Matthias. I'm a first year student and I study product design. And I would just like to touch up on what Danny said about the check-in app on the Napier module. Is that more to do with the actual attendance, or is that more to do with track and trace? Because people in my course have been asking about that.
It's to do with, so yeah, the ones that you have at the entrance of the building, you mean?
I mean, no, it's on the I module, and it's called, if I can just find it, it is called...
Is it a purple or yellow box?
It's a yellow one. It's a check-in yellow box.
Yeah.
Is that more to do with attendance or track and trace? Because a lot of people in my course, since the check-in thing hasn't been working for quite some time, I think it's up and running now. They've been very confused, and a lot of them are not doing it. So some of them are concerned as to, oh, I have not noticed that this has been up and running now, and I've missed it for like 2, 3, 4 weeks. Is it for attendance, track and trace, or?
That's a good question. I actually don't know. And I'm thinking, at least the years before, that button didn't exist. So I'm thinking that it might be track and trace, but then again, it might just be both in the same thing, because obviously if they know your attendance, they also know for track and trace.
So is there any backup, for example, if it does turn out to be attendance and some students get, theoretically, if some students get, oh, you haven't been in the class at all, is there any way that either the lecturers or the uni can be like, oh yeah, no, sorry, this is fine, don't worry about this, we've got your evidence on this and that? Is there something like that?
Can I say that to Lisa on that?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the projects I am working on, and I have been invited to meetings. So yes, that's for the track and trace as well. But this is ongoing. This is like, the university started last year, the project, and mainly it was for to trace the location and other things as well. But COVID happened, and because of the COVID, things are different now. So they have switched over to some other scenarios of the same project. And for now, it is not exactly the location, but it's track and trace, yes, so that they can find out if some students are not engaging, or they are not spending much time on these studies. They can get back to them whether that particular student needs some advice. Is he okay for regarding the mental health? So these kind of the scenarios were behind that project, but that's ongoing, and the project has not been finished yet. So they're still working on. So application is on a test mode. So that's why they haven't advertised, they haven't pushed all the students, make sure you use it or do it. But in future, it will be. At the moment, that's why it's not.
Okay.
And under question, to be honest.
Yeah, and another one of my issues is regarding one of my modules, as it's been it's been pretty much the main complaint from my course. Not to name the lectures in question, but there are people that believe that on one of our modules, during the lectures, a lot of people have called them quite pointless in a way, because it's a very short lecture. It's only like 30 to 60 minutes long. And people are complaining that during that lecture, they don't actually, A, they don't learn anything new, and B, that the lecturer only mentions, oh yeah, you've got this homework, but then for the rest of the lecture, that lecturer would be going off on tangents, so to speak, chatting away to the other lecturers about their personal stuff, about issues in the world. So they're going off talking about other things and not really go into detail about the homework. And a lot of people in my course are kind of upset about that in a way, because they feel like such a short lecture anyway, why are they talking about this? Like, can we not just know what to do for homework, that sort of stuff? So yeah.
Okay, well, that seems to be so a specific problem with that particular lecture. Is that lecturer your program leader or not?
It is not.
Okay.
Sorry. No, no. I mean, yeah, I have. We have mentioned it to the program leader. I
Yeah.
believe he has spoken to her, to the lecture, to the lecturer.
Yeah.
But yeah, not much has changed. Practically nothing has changed. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not great. 'Cause that would have been my suggestion was, ask your program leader to talk to them. But okay, that's fine. I can see maybe I can do something. If you're okay to send me an email with the name of that lecturer, if that's okay.
Yep.
So you don't like shout their name in the middle of this
Yes. Okay.
video.
We're right. And just on one last thing, I assume that would be a program leader thing, but I just want to double check. Because some students feel like they're getting very little feedback on the work that they give in. But I assume that just to the program leader, yeah?
I think, yeah, that as well. I think that's something that can be resolved with, just telling the program leader exactly that. And because it might just be, that it's not that they don't want to give enough feedback, so they don't realize that they're not giving enough feedback. So I think if you let them know, that should be resolved for the next assessment and all that.
Right, thank you.
Perfect, thanks. Does anyone else have any other academic issues they would like to raise?
I would say me and Susie, who's my other class rep for design postgraduate, so like the whole design school for postgraduate. I think that's what we are. Basically, the one issue that we're having is that we're not really getting very much feedback. Like, we are due to get formal feedback in December, or like kind of late December, which is fine, but we haven't really had much continuous kind of informal feedback, which I think has kind of led a lot of us to feel like we don't really know what we're doing. Like, we're kind of stuck, like we're not sure we're like on the right path. So I think that's kind of the main thing that is the kind of issue that we're having.
Okay, have you thought about asking the lecturers if they could set up sort of one-to-one sessions with every student? How many students are on your program? Is there a lot of you?
Not a huge amount.
I think there's about 15, 16 maybe over all our disciplines.
Right, yeah, that's not really that many. So I think that could be a good idea, is to ask, because obviously now that if you're not on campus, it's a lot more difficult to get, that little feedback, like go and ask the lecturer after class, I've got some questions. But you could, so that's something that I had on one of my courses last year was, just the lecturers, they should have enough time, even if it's, for 5 minutes with each student, to say, book a 5-minute slot to get some feedback and to talk about anything that you want to talk about. So that can be an idea, especially since there's not many of you on the course.
I think it's just been a lot of uncertainty because they haven't been entirely clear about partly this is kind of because they've kind of changed the system, they've changed the grading system, but they've not, for like the first I'd say like half of term, it wasn't very clear like what was expected for our hand-ins, and I'm still like not 100% sure I'm on the right track, but I think maybe talking to them and like getting individual feedback would be helpful. I think we're just feeling, I don't know about you, Susie. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think because we're not in the studio, and because most of our masters are centered around like our own personal interests, as well as taking electives from other courses that we're also submitting things to. It's all a little bit confusing. And yeah, like I said, because we're not in the studio, we're not getting that sort of normal chat and the normal feedback that we would be getting to just say, okay, yeah, well, you're definitely hitting the markers here for like the learning outcomes and stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I think, if you can set up one-to-ones with your lecturers, I think that would be useful for most students, or even, obviously it depends what your questions are as well, but there is a sort of Q&A function on Moodle. I don't know if you're program leader uses it or not. But that can be something else, that chat function on Moodle can be good, because if someone has a question, another student might have a similar one, and you can actually see the response on there. So that's something else that you could.
Yeah. Could I just ask, would you suggest that Lucy and I basically group email the lecturers and say, this is something that came up in the reps meeting, is it something that you'd be able to do? Or do you think we more go to our own lecturers? I'm not really sure how to sort of get that train going, if that makes sense.
I think the first option you just said, it sounds good, because so even if it's not the lecturer that you're in contact with the most, like if you open that conversation up to all the lecturers on your program, then it might actually benefit everyone, and they might not have thought about it as well. So it's probably good for them as well to find out that students are wanting more connection as well. So yeah, I think that's a good idea, a group email.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Thank you.
I'll just read out. So I've got a comment from Beth as well. So hi, I'm Beth from photography year 3. We're having issues with timetabling lessons. Lessons are overlapping due to modules being moved days and last-minute timetable changes, which is affecting students' work and other important commitments. There's also lack of mental health awareness and support. Some students in my class are struggling. Classes that we were assured were adapted for COVID-19 have not been properly rendered, and some areas could be argued that students are being put at risk. Overall, there is loads of things that are not being properly explained, so there's a lot of confusion within the course. I understand that COVID has made everything upside down, but the main consensus with many in the class is that the course has not been properly updated to online. Okay, thanks, Beth. Yeah, no, that's really interesting, because that's going to be one of my questions was, do you think that your course has sort of been positively modified and for the current circumstances that we're in? And it seems like it hasn't. And also timetabling, that's an issue that always comes up with reps as well, because it is really difficult to timetable things properly, but it's not an excuse for that to happen. But yeah, thanks for raising that. What we'll do is we'll add this in the minutes as well and see what we can do about it. But yeah, could you, if you're okay, to unmute yourself or type it again in the chat? You said that some classes have not been properly adapted to COVID-19 and some students are being put at risk. Can you elaborate on that or give me an example? Is that okay?
Hello.
Hi.
So the reason I didn't have my mic on is because there's a lot of noise from the street. But anyway, I'm Beth. Hello. Basically, some people in the class think that there's one module that's not been kind of properly transitioned online, like it doesn't really sit well. And one of the tasks for the module is that we had to go and find, obviously we keeping social distancing in mind, but we had to go find strangers and people to photograph.
Okay.
And some people that didn't really sit well with them at all. Because it just kind of seemed like we were kind of being put at risk a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably not the best idea. I feel like there's a lot of photography projects that you can do that don't involve being in contact with strangers. So yeah, that seems a bit odd to me as well.
The type of module that it is, if things were, COVID-free, but you do need to interact a lot with people. So I understand that we kind of have to do that sort of work, but some members of the class feel that it could have been handled a bit differently.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Do you feel, is it are students being given an alternative option if they weren't comfortable in doing this, or not really? Because that could be a solution.
For one task, we weren't given a separate option. We just had to kind of do it, but some people did manage to choose, like, were able to do like family members or things. So that wasn't like so bad, but we weren't really given a choice with that. And then our kind of secondary main sort of project, we're given slightly more choice with that, but who to photograph. But a lot of people were kind of struggling with that as well, because some people were more comfortable with photographing like strangers and that, following like photography, social distance guidelines and things. But other people decided to photograph those that were more close to them. And the issue is there that like, I'm not sure, like, but the main consensus is that they feel that overall that the module wasn't fully adapted to kind of COVID and things. And that's further backed up with evidence that we have a student that did the module before and then left and then came back. And the module is exactly the same as it was a year or two ago than it is now. So we were assured that there was changes, but like as I said, some people in the class feel that it hasn't been adapted properly.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Oh, Danny, yeah.
Can I just check, Bethany, is this by any chance a street photography module?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It's an editorial and documentary module.
Yep.
Which is basically, it comes under editorial photography, documentary photography, and like photojournalism.
Got yep. Okay. No, it's just I know the because I'm not studying photography, but I'm actually a freelance photographer. And although kind of government guidance was photography's fine in kind of socially distant circumstances, they did highly advise against any sort of street photography, as Bethany's describing, in terms of going up to the strangers and stuff because of COVID. It wasn't said you cannot do this, but it was said we strongly advise against this. So it's maybe something that Louisa can work with you to talk to the program leader, because that module, it's fine to happen in the kind of documentary thing, but you shouldn't be doing any sort of street photography, because it puts, as you said, it puts yourself at risk. Like I invested in some kit a while back just before lockdown to do some street photography, and I barely used it because it's not a good idea to do that sort of thing during COVID.
Thanks.
I was hearing you say this, and I'm like, that sounds like a street photography module that really shouldn't be happening.
No, that's interesting that you're saying that student who did the module last semester says it's exactly the same. So clearly they've not managed to adapt it, or they thought they didn't need to adapt it, and clearly they do. So yeah, that's definitely something that we can help and like look at.
It's like, sorry to interrupt. I do want to stress that not like there's obviously like everybody feels different things. So some people are fine with the module the way it is, but other people were really, really concerned about it. And we're just kind of really worried, and they feel like, that it was just kind of like one of the quotes that were kind of floating about for a bit as well was blatant disregard for student safety. So that was floated about for a little bit as well. But it's like some people are working through the module fine, and then other people are kind of struggling with it. So it's definitely a lot of like people are feeling like a lot of different things. So it's not like the result of everybody feels this way. It's some people that feel that things haven't really been adapted properly.
Okay, yeah. No, that makes sense. I think the solution would be to have this module maybe be a bit more flexible as well. You can't do street photography, but if you don't feel comfortable, here's another option, and you won't be penalized for choosing this other option. So that's something that we can look at as well. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I'm just conscious of time. I'll just see, is there anyone else who'd like to raise academic issues? And if not, we'll move on to the facilities ones.
Hi, my name is Douglas. I'm fourth year building surveyor rep. Just a quick one. There was a bit of confusion over the exams in terms of how much time we're allowed We've got one exam this year for our course in sustainability, and I'm not so sure if it's maybe just something more to do with the lecturer himself. I think it's his first year at the uni, but there's a little confusion. The guidelines, I think, on the university website says that you get 6 hours for what would have been a 3-hour exam, so you get double the time. I've spoken to the lecturer, and he's under the assumption that you have 6 hours in total, but you still need to complete it within 3 hours. And the other 3 hours is for like technical difficulties. And a couple of people have got in touch with me just saying that they weren't really sure because it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually don't know the exact answer to that question either, because I do know that they were leaving more time for exams, but obviously they are leaving more time in case students have technical difficulties. The way that I would see it is that is 6 hours to do the exam, not 3 hours plus 3 to submit it. Because I don't see how they would even be able to monitor that you did it 3 hours but then submitted it later. So yeah, I think is that lecturer your program? It's not your program leader, right?
No, he's not the program leader.
Yeah. Have you asked the program leader to see, just to make sure about this?
Not yet. I was going to do that the next. I just thought, just in case if you did know anything else. But going by what the uni guideline is, what you said would make more sense that you would have like the full 6 hours to complete it. In case you.
Yeah, no, I don't exactly know, but I'm sort of 95% sure that that's the case. But just don't take my word for it and ask the program leader. But yeah, it is kind of confusing, and that's why I understand why the lecturer probably doesn't know either, because you can interpret it anyway.
Yeah.
Really. But yeah, no, thanks for raising that.
No worries. Thanks.
Great.
I have a quick point. I'm Charles. I'm a representative for fourth year mechatronics. I'll quickly say as well that I also have a 6-hour exam, and the way that was sort of explained to us did make it sound like that we had the full 6 hours to do that. My other point was, especially now when we can't sort of nip into the lecturer's office and sort of ask questions and things, a lot of the students in my course have been sort of sending a lot more emails to the lecturers, but in a few cases, these emails have been taking 2 or 3, maybe even longer days to get a reply back, and sort of complaining about that as an issue. Yeah, no, that's clearly too long, especially if it's a pressing issue. I'm trying to think, is this, because I also understand that lecturers are very busy and sometimes they do get swarms of emails and they don't have time to reply to all of them. I'm wondering if maybe you can see, ask the lecturers if they'd be happy to maybe use, I don't know if you use Microsoft Teams or maybe Moodle to use the chat function on there. Obviously, it's not great because you can't really have a personal discussion, but if it is things that are more, a quick question and nothing too personal, maybe students and lecturers can use that instead of sending emails. I think that could be an option. Yep, I will mention that.
That makes sense. Or maybe as well, making the lecturers and the program leader aware as well that this is an issue, but also maybe asking the students, if the email is urgent, to put urgent in the title so that lecturers know that that's a priority. And if it's something that, doesn't need a reply within the next couple of days, then they wouldn't put that in the title, so that at least they would know which ones to respond to first. And that might be better it'll be better for the students, but for the lecturers as well. Because they'll be able to reply to the important ones first. So that can be an idea.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you. Has anyone else got something? Okay, that's fine. We'll move on to the facilities issues then. So this one's basically anything to do with things that are on campus, study spaces, the library, or tech issues as well, because obviously, when I talk about facilities, a lot of it's online now, so it can be about the virtual learning environment and, if it's working well or not working well. So yeah, let me know if you have anything.
No, Douglas, you got something?
Thanks. Just a quick one. This is more times I've went into campus just like to use the library. The QR code that you scan, a couple of times it didn't work, and I'm not really sure why it didn't work.
The track and trace one.
Yeah, like the one on the front door that you would scan with your phone. A couple of times, I think it was last week, I think I went in and like open the app, went to scan, and usually it would come up just saying that you've accessed, I think, or it would say like that you're present or whatever. But it never came up, like it just disappeared again after it's scanned. So I'm not sure if it worked or if I don't know if there was like something wrong with the app. Maybe it's my phone, I'm not sure.
Okay,
no, I was wondering if anybody else had that issue.
That's good that you're bringing that up, because if it is that students aren't being signed in, then that can be a big problem with track and trace. So yeah, what we'll do is that I'll contact the IT department and see if they know about this and what problem it probably
If I can just add to that, I had the exact same issue at the beginning of uni for like the first 2-3 weeks, but now for me it seems to be working fine. But I feel like it is like sort of a weird issue where it like randomly affects just random students from time to time. Like it worked this week, but not another. So I'm not sure what the issue could be.
Yeah, it worked. It's worked before in the past. That's why last week when I went in, like it just didn't look the same as it did the last time. So I was like, oh, something doesn't look like it might have worked here. So
okay. Hopefully it's not an issue with people.
Yeah, no, it was the app. I understand the app is kind of still being developed, but at the same time, I've spoken with friends and stuff who do app development and stuff. It shouldn't be taking this long to smooth all the bugs out. I understand, obviously, COVID has kind of messed quite a few things up, but for me, like the first 2-3 weeks, that was working fine. Then it wasn't, then it was, and it wasn't, and it wasn't, and I eventually just stopped using it because I'm like, I'm not wasting time getting up to then try and get it to scan to see, oh, hold on, the app's not even opening properly. So I think that's definitely something that needs to be addressed, because it is something that we need for the campus to operate safely.
Yeah.
But that can't really happen when it's not working. You know what I mean? Like the check-in to the classes was the first kind of bit of it to go a bit haywire. That can also be rectified by you just saying to your lecturer, I'm here, take my attendance, and that's what my lecturers have been doing. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the track and trace QR scan, the fact that seems to fail and then start working and then fail again so constantly, it is a bit of a concern that, hold on, how many people are actually saying they're on campus? How many people are actually able to tell people are on campus, and how many people are just sick and tired of it not working and they just breeze by it?
Yeah, no, exactly. That can have a sort of an effect, like you say, it doesn't work, so people stop even trying. So that's perfect. But I'll speak to information services about that.
Let's see.
And another thing that Danny has mentioned a bit earlier about the one-way system, just while I was walking about the campus, I've noticed that particularly the one area that seems to be really affected is the cafeteria one with that whole staircase. I've noticed a lot of times people do not necessarily bother leaving the building just to come back in, and they just simply walk up the stairs. So I don't know if something could be done about that or not, but yeah, that little staircase seems to be a really big problem in a way.
I would agree. I don't think I haven't personally used that wee cafe that's down at the bottom of the stairs, but I had noticed it in my head that hold on, if someone goes down to use that, they then go out, round, up, back in. No one's going to do that. No one is going to. A suggestion I could maybe say is to see how there's the 3 doors that then morph into the 2 doors that get you into the building. Mm-hmm. Have one of them as an entrance and have one of them as an exit. and put up a plastic screen or something of a similar ilk.
That could be a good
allow
idea.
you
They
to
don't need to
have
go around.
that would allow you to have a two-way system at the main entrance, and the plastic screens keep everyone safe.
Yeah. No, I think that could be doable, and I don't see why students couldn't go back up that staircase, because at Craig Locker we have the stairs, but because there's no way to go, that's the only way up and down. It is a double system.
That particular staircase has been marked as a one-way one because whoever designed the one-way system designed it when the cafes and stuff were still shut, I suspect, because it's designed to take you down to what was an emergency and disabled exit to now the exit and get you out that way. It's clearly been designed right. No one's ever going to come up this. Now that the cafe is open and in use, people want to come up that set of stairs, and it's not the reason. Another reason it's probably one way is it's not a standard. It's not one of the big stairwells. It's just one wee staircase to drop you down a wee half level, and it's only about 2 meters wide. So it's not like the big stairwell ones where it is wide enough for two people to pass relatively safely. If you were to try and pass someone in that staircase, you would be standing right beside them.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's a good point. But then again, we can always ask if someone is on the stairs, just wait for them to,
that's true. One of the things I was going to say is to see how opposite the eye point or whatever it's called at Merchiston, there's the disabled toilets.
Yeah.
Yeah, their alarm cords aren't up to the Disability Act code. And I've raised it twice and it's been ignored. So the red cord has got 2 anchor points on it, like 2 wee hooks that basically are designed that if you fall or something, you will hit it and you will drag it down with you. They are under the Disability Act. One of them has to be within 100 millimeters of the floor and the other has to be set.
Oh, you just froze there. Oh, we've lost you there, Danny.
Sorry, Eloise, I know I'm anything, but just so you're aware, this has been something that's raised in previous years. So it has been raised, and what has commonly happened is that cleaners have moved the lower anchor point up so they can clean the floor, and then it's not been replaced. This has been raised numerous times, and Danny is quite right. It is actually in breach of the Disability Discrimination Act.
Yeah, and the very, I think you can hear me now. The very ironic thing is there is a lot of charities and people who build these cables put on them a wee thing. It's called a Ewan's tag, and it basically says this is meant to hang freely to the floor, and it's not. Like if you are sitting on the loo, you could activate it, but if you're anywhere else in that room, you have no hope of activating that if you fall. Because the other thing is, in both cases, they've put it right in the corner, right up against 2 walls. So if you're on one side, if you're like the baby changing bit and you need that cable, you can't reach it. What it needs to be done is maintenance basically need to go in, they need to pop the roof ceilings up, and they need to move that entire cable over. And then also have it free hanging, because although it's not law about where in the room it's placed, it is law about where, like, the height it has to sit at, and it is just common sense of where to put it. So they failed on the common sense of let's stick it in a corner. That is just, but they are failing on a legal point of providing a safe toilet.
Yeah, no thanks, and that's something that has to be resolved, and that they shouldn't. I mean, they really should resolve it because legally they need to. So, yeah, I will raise that as well.
Let's see. That's a question for Nick Hill, who's not here. That's not facilities. I could argue this is facilities. So you see how there's the various, like, there's the finance office, there's the undergrad office. No one ever picks up their phone, ever. Like, I mean, sometimes they do, but I understand a lot of people, including the ENSA folk, are working from home. but it would be really handy if there was a way to call them, because this was an issue me and the students were having when we were trying to sort, or well, we thought we'd sorted the SAS stuff. We could never get through to anyone. The phones would just ring out and ring out and ring out, and then our phone would go, right, no one's answering, we're giving up on trying to call the number. So I think that's, although there's emails and stuff, it's, as other people have pointed out, it can take 2-3 days to get an email response, and then you've got to respond, and then you could wait a few more days again. So one issue could take a week or 2 weeks to solve instead of one quick phone call.
Yeah, I think, I mean, this might not be the case with all these phone numbers. I know some of them, and it's also a problem with the university, that some pages and some phone numbers are not updated. So it's phone numbers that aren't necessarily used at the moment as well.
Well, that's the thing. I think that did happen the first time, but when I spoke to iPoint, they pointed me to a list that was on the wall. That's the updated numbers. Still wasn't getting any answers.
Okay, yeah, that's not good. Were you not even getting to like were they asking you to leave a voicemail or something? Were you getting an automated
I wasn't even
response?
getting voice. I wasn't even getting voice. None of my students were getting voicemails. Eventually, some of them would eventually manage to get through to someone, but the amount of times that a phone would ring out versus the amount of times a phone was answered is very skewed off.
Hi, sorry, this is Alistair from Mensa. It was just to say on the phone systems, I'm just messaging Eloisa because I'm just here to take minutes. But on the phone systems, most of the university is on a Cisco Jabber system, which is an internal system, so we all have internal codes. Now, I can only speak for the ENSA one because we now have this set up, but you can basically have a chain of people so that if it doesn't ring and the first person to answer it, it goes to the next person and then on to the next person. Even working from home, we can now remotely tap into this. So actually, various departments should be up and running if they sync it with their IT. So for example, I'm about 4th on the list or something. If the first 3 people don't answer, it comes to myself, and I just answer using my headset. If I don't answer it goes on to the next person. There's about 8 people in the queue. So just on that note, it is something that I believe can be set up at the university, and certainly people who have reception duties should be able to continue those duties. There should be a way they can continue what they're doing. So just an FYI on that one, if anybody says, oh, we can't access our phones, quite possibly not true. It's maybe they just haven't explored all the ways that that could be happening.
Yeah, I kind of was. I've reached the conclusion that they basically have either not looked into it properly or simply cannot be bothered to answer the phone.
The good news is if you do need to contact ENSA, we should be on the other end phone at all times.
Oh yeah, user usually pretty quick to answer. Sorted that. That's a different issue. That's a different issue. I wouldn't say it's like an issue, but it's something to look at. So see how we've got the Napier cafe thing down the stairs at Merchiston, and then we've got the cafe on the main level.
Yeah.
Why does that have to be a Starbucks? Why can that not be a small independent cafe? Supporting a small business.
I agree with that, and this is actually a point that a point that I raised at the beginning of. So in September, when I started as an officer at ENSA as well, and we'd spoken about it with, actually, I think it was with the sustainability team, that we thought that in January we might actually do a survey or something to ask students, do you want this to be a Starbucks or do you want it to be something else? I
mean, every time I go by it, it seems to be pretty quiet. I don't know if it's just because obviously limited numbers on campus at any one time and such, but I just don't see why, and it's Strathclyde. It seems to be all the unis, their Starbuckses. So someone is clearly paying someone else big bucks to get them in, and it's kind of like, or even Starbucks are saying, right, we'll do cheaper prices where no one else can compete with that. I just feel that Napier kind of prides itself on community and everything. Why not have an independent cafe set up and say to a small business owner, right, you come and set up a place in our uni, pay us this, pay us rent, and you charge what you want, or sort of thing.
Yeah, I think personally, I do agree with you. I think in a normal year without COVID, these Starbucks are super busy and students are like queuing a lot for it. I think, and obviously I cannot speak for all students, but and we'll find out, you know, if we do a survey in January. But
Yeah.
I think that most students prefer the Starbucks over.
I mean, I
That's-
think
yeah.
I think they prefer the Starbucks, but I think if you were actually, I've seen psychological studies on this, that if you take a Costa, a Nero, a Starbucks, and another kind of big brand coffee, put them in a plain unmarked cup, most people can't actually tell the difference. It's
Oh, yeah, I know.
it's the whole brand association thing. So a lot of people will go, oh, but we like Starbucks because, you know, Starbucks reward loyalty, but it's like, give the little shop a chance.
Yeah. No, I
And
agree.
you'll find that they're usually the same or better.
One thing that is good is, I don't know if you've seen, is that for the sandwiches, for example, Napier has moved to Social Bite.
Yeah, I saw. I did see that, and I was pleased to see that. I'm like, right, that's what I expect from Napier. That's the kind of working with the community that I like Napier for.
But I think, yeah, like they're trying to do it more and more. And there is, you know, the sustainability team that's there behind trying to push for this to happen as well. But I think, you know, what we'll do is if we do a little survey or something to find out what students want, that can be a good idea. But that's interesting that you raised that, because that's something that I have in my mind as well. So yeah, thank you. So has anyone else got any facilities or tech issues they'd like to talk about?
Just to point out, Beth has said something in the chat about this.
Oh yeah, Beth is saying, I admit I didn't know we had a Starbucks in the uni until I was at Napier for 6 months. Loads of people seem to enjoy the Starbucks, so that's why it's there. There's a risk that if it wasn't a brand, it might not be purchased. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's what I think, is that Starbucks is just generally very popular. But yeah, no, we'll have to see. It's still worth, you know, doing a survey to see what everyone thinks. But yeah, let me know if you've got any other issues. Otherwise, we'll move on. I'm conscious that it's already been an hour. Okay, so I'll move on then. And just to say, if there's anything that you didn't feel like you had a chance to talk about, you can just email me or send me a message, just so I'm made aware that this was something that you wanted to talk about in this meeting. But you know, I'll just quickly talk about what's coming up at ENSA. So something that is happening in a few days is our student council. So this happens every year, and basically similar to the rep forums, but it's for all students at the university to join. So all students are welcome, and it's just to come up and raise any issues that students want to talk about. So it can be, you know, similar to what we talk now. It has to be things that are like university wide, but it can be, you know, for example, the Starbucks, that's a good idea, things to raise at the student council. So definitely, if you can promote this to your classmates, that would be great. The event's up on Facebook as well, so you can just share the link with them. And what's different about the student council is that we're also going to be talking about the referendum. So what's happening this year is that at ENSA, we're wanting to change our constitution. So because we're a charity, we have a constitution that basically says how we're supposed to do things, and basically everything we do, we have to do it according to what it says in the constitution. It's like the rules that we have to follow, basically. And what we want to do this year is to change some specific parts in this constitution. So, for example, one of the changes that we want to make is, at the moment at ENSA, we have 1 president and 2 vice presidents, and we want to change that to having 3 co-equal presidents, and we would change the names and the title a bit. So those are the sort of changes that we want to make. So it's quite important, because to be able to change the constitution, we need to pass a referendum, and students need to vote, but we need to get at least 10% of all Napier students to vote on the referendum, which is not, it sounds like not too much, but because there are so many students, it's difficult to get so many. But if we don't get 10% to even vote at the referendum, our constitution won't be changed. So this is something that, you know, as reps, I will definitely ask you if you can promote it to the students as well once the referendum is out and open, to just encourage them to take part. So yeah, that's what's happening on the 26th of November. And we also have the COVID survey. So you might have seen this, that I shared it on the REP Facebook group as well. Is just a little survey that we've made at ENSA for all students to complete. And the point of this is just we would like to know, by asking a few questions about what the students' experience has been with, all the changes relating to COVID, things to do with accommodation, with different activities, with university life, how it's been. And the point of this is it helps us know how we can best support your students during these times. Because obviously if we don't really know how you're feeling or what things you'd prefer to do or things that you think are lacking within the university, then it's kind of difficult for us to sort of find things that are best suited to all students. But so that's the reason why we have this survey. It's still open and the link is here on the slide. So again, if you can complete it, that would be great. It takes a few minutes, and if you can share it with your classmates as well, that would be amazing. Yeah, and then, as I said, if there's something that you've not been able to raise at this meeting, or that, didn't fall under academic or facilities issues, you can email me, or if it's something to do with sports and societies you'd like to talk about, there's Nikhil or there's Ankit as well. And we also have our different Facebook profiles, so you can message us there as well. Everything's absolutely fine. So yeah, that's us for now. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for attending. I think we had some really interesting discussions, and it's always great to be able to hear how it's actually going. Obviously, it's not great to know that you've had issues, but it's good that you've brought them up and that being able to talk about them. And Alistair has been taking notes of the meeting, so after this, we'll just go through the notes and see what issues we can actually resolve, or contact the relevant departments who could resolve these issues and get the conversations going. And then the plan is for me to close the feedback loop, and once we've been able to resolve an issue or do something, we can get back to you and let you know how that went and if there's any progress that have been made. So yeah, I think that's us for now. But yeah, thank you so much and enjoy your evening. I will let you go now and I will stop the recording.
Lisa,
yeah.
I just wanted to find out that how our program reps are communicating with other students. And is there any specific? There was being told that last year that Moodle will be able to work on that so that the students, program reps, can communicate with other co-students. Because that's the issue what comes up. Most of the students don't know who their program rep is, or program rep doesn't get the opportunity to contact them. Now it's COVID, all the things are online. So my question is to the program reps, how's things for you to communicate? Because obviously as a program rep, you bring the voice, you need to communicate with them. How do you do that?
Well, personally, my course is on campus once a week. So whenever we're on campus, I give a little speech out to the students, be like, yeah, I'm the program rep, guys. So, I usually give a class, a short class speech, 5 minutes, pretty much every week. That's what I do personally.
Nice, that's pretty good. That's commitment. I like it.
Also, since Ankit brought up the Moodle thing, on Moodle, under the My Program section, it shows you your course, your program leader, the personal development tutor, and underneath it, there's a place for a program rep. Yeah. But I don't know if it's something that the program leader has to update on that Moodle page.
No, so I actually
that the uni does. So
I have the answer to this. So it's the university who does this. So we've sent them a couple of weeks ago, the list of all the program reps, and they should be able to update it, but there's been some delays, so it's not been done yet. Very soon, your face should appear on there with your name. I know, very exciting. And I'm hoping it all happens soon because it's already mid-November, so I know it's really frustrating.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
I suppose to answer your question as well, from my perspective, I tried to email the building surveying group to begin with, just to say I'm the rep. Blah, blah, blah. If you need anything, just get in touch. It's quite a small group that we have in our course, so the majority of us, we kind of knew each other on Facebook, so we started a Facebook group. It's not all of the people, but it is definitely the majority. I would say like 80-90% of the whole class is on Facebook. So we just set up a Facebook group, and if there's been anything, like a couple of the questionnaires and things that you've been putting out, the surveys, I've just been popping them in there. If anybody wanted to fill them out, I just threw them in there. Like before today, a couple of days back, I just asked like, if anybody did have any questions, get in touch with me, either privately or just on here, and we can either discuss it, need to bring it up, or I can bring it forward to you guys.
Great, that sounds good.
Right.
But yeah,
Because yeah, the things when pre-COVID was like you are going in a class and then obviously you can talk in the class just 5 minutes before or after. But now it's online. But as Matthias was saying, he does get an opportunity once in a week position.
Yeah.
But in online you don't get an opportunity to before or after the class. But you can ask your program leader or module leader or the lecturer.
Yeah, I would say that as well. For myself, I think Danny was saying I'm now part of the School of Environment rep for like the whole school. In terms of like communicating like on a more wider basis, like I'm not really sure how I would do that. Obviously I don't like everybody's email or like any way of contacting other people out with my actual course. Like on one of my modules, I would say maybe upwards of 100 people from like 3 or 4 different disciplines. WebEx call, like I've got no way of getting in touch with them after it.
Yeah, well, make sure you bring this to your SSLC that you need an opportunity how you
One thing
can
I'm not sure.
with other students. Just make sure you take it to SSLC. Everybody knows about SSLC, right? Student Staff License Committee.
Yeah, sounds good. I was just going to say, I will just let you all go now because I know it's 10 minutes past the time, and that's us done with the agenda. But yeah, thank you so much for your input, and yeah, have a nice evening.
Cool. Cheers.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye for now.
And tell Ilsa I will email you the details.
Perfect.
Cool.
Oh, that was good. That was quite a good attendance there.
Yeah, we had 10 at the peak, and then it drifted off thereafter. But yeah, it was never really below 8, which was good, and obviously everybody had something to say, which is nice. Ankit, just FYI, if you do have a question like that, don't leave it to the end. To do is submit it to Eloisa, because also she's the VP for this one, and then she can pop it as a slide or on the agenda or something like that, and that way we can kind of gauge the right appropriate level and allocate time for it as well, so that we're not running on meetings, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Actually, it was not pre-planned. I was obviously just wondering like what kind of issues, but this just clicked into the mind. How these program reps are communicating, like with other students and.
Well, no, I know. It's just that obviously, like, I made sure to time everything correctly, and I know people are wanting to go for dinner and stuff. So, like, if you start asking a question at the end of the meeting, then everyone's just like, "Oh my god, another question."
Yeah, you'll find that, Ankit, your people will just be trying to get away if you leave a question to like the end. It's why you don't put important stuff on any other business as well. It's just get it in as a slide, and we can allocate like 5-10 minutes for that. If it's something you want to gauge, just plan it ahead, and if it slips into your mind, then the best thing to do is carry it forward to the next meeting rather than just try and cram it into the end of a current